I just had ChatGPT write me a script for this video.
This video is brought to you by iPad. Why film with a camera or an iPhone? You can film with an iPad.
What's up, everybody? Nico here. Today, I'm gonna be explaining myself. So I know I haven't posted in about a year now. Been up to a lot, actually. And as you can tell by the title of this video, last year I did leave school. I think it's a good segue from the last video because I think at the end of the last one, I was explaining my reasoning for leaving school in the first place. And I can say that I am so much happier than I was 1 year ago. So to give a little bit of background, I was recruited to Harvard when I was in high school. In my whole life, Harvard or Stanford were my two dream schools. Stanford because I grew up in California, and I think Harvard just because of the name. Also, my mom was recruited for field hockey when she was in high school, but didn't ultimately attend because that sport was not her passion. So she ended up going to Cal Poly in California. That's where my parents got married. That's also one of the schools I wanted to go to as a kid. Now, I think what's hard about getting into a dream school is you just have unrealistic expectations for what it's going to be like. You've probably over-romanticized the experience before you even get there. And I think in general in life, setting expectations too high just leads you to be extremely disappointed. Not extremely disappointed, but I think it sets you up for failure. I never really knew what I even wanted to study in college. All I knew was that I'd pick something. I'd be on the wrestling team, and that was about it. I figured once I got there, I would figure out what I actually enjoyed doing. Now, I think one of the things is business. I was always selling things as a kid. I was selling like silly bands, trading Pokemon cards, selling origami. I made rainbow loom bracelets in the style of like Pikachu and sold those. In middle school, I was reselling sneakers like Yeezys, Jordans, streetwear like Supreme. So it was always I also started like a clothing business with my high school roommate, Bo Bartlett, at one point. So business was of interest to me, but unfortunately that was not a major or concentration if you want to talk pretentious Harvard speak. So the closest thing I found was economics. And first year of college wasn't really real. It was COVID. Second year, kind of got into it. It was really hard for me. I just did not actually care about what we were learning in class. I felt like it had no utility for me once I would graduate. I already knew I wasn't going to be using this stuff ever. And then I somehow got into the startup world, took a startup class. My spring of sophomore year last year, really fell down. You guys are gonna make fun of me for this. A crypto rabbit hole, but like the intersection of crypto and doing real world good. So I think as I left off in the last video, I just was cold applying to jobs as a sophomore in college. And not even like internships, just full on jobs. And I've been at one company for the last year now. I was lucky enough, I got offered an internship, and after that internship, I was offered a full-time job, and I've taken the last year off of school, and don't plan on going back until possibly winter next year. I have been back and forth between San Francisco and New York, been completely on my own. I haven't had any roommates, haven't asked my parents for any money, been paying off student loans, and I'm so much happier than I was a year ago. I can't say that things have been easy. Like a lot of that stuff has been very hard. The first year you leave college is a whole nother world that you don't expect as well. You're no longer around thousands of people your own age. You're just in the real world, in charge of everything yourself. There's no people you go to that you can rely on to do things for you. You're on your own. You have to figure it out. And it does become very lonely sometimes. One of the hardest parts was actually taking the leap that involved like talking to my parents and having Asian parents. My mom's like part Asian, my dad's full. That is very hard because that's all they know. Send your kid to college. Their son dropping out of Harvard to other people. Technically, it's not dropping out. You can call it a gap year, but or a leave of absence, whatever. You can go back anytime. So that was hard. Approval from school was actually fairly easy. Like talking to coaches, teammates, friends. That was hard because they're just confused and not in the same boat as you. And then lastly, like I needed a job. I couldn't just take time off, not making any money, with no idea what I wanted to do. All I knew I wanted to do was gain some work experience, work for a startup, and just learn all I could and be on my own, figure it out. Personally, I've grown more in a year than I have ever. I'm taking care of myself way better. I'm like taking care of my skin, going to the gym, eating healthy, which were things I was not able to do while I was at school. I even have like a clean room now, which was not a thing when I was at school. I just allowed like trash to pile up, whatever, because especially in like Boston winters, I think I had like seasonal depression. But those aren't things that are as common now. Mentally, I'm doing 1,000% better than I was last year. I've also learned how to be alone but not lonely. It's like a little bit complicated to explain or understand, but I found that it is possible. You can be okay with being alone. I actually really enjoy being alone now. That's why I don't have any roommates, so I always have a place to come back to where it's just me. No one's gonna mess up my space. I don't have to talk to anybody. I can just like be in solitude, be by myself. I've also had to grow up extremely fast. I started a startup at 20 years old. Everyone was at least 7 years older than me. So I really had to find a way to mature and step up and just be there for anyone when anyone needed anything. Also, like having to figure out housing on your own in a place like San Francisco or a place like New York is not very easy. Like having to budget money. Luckily, I had to do that when I moved away when I was 14. So that's a skill I learned early on that I am grateful for. But having to do that is very hard. Not knowing many people in a new city is very hard. But I've made it all work. Over the last year, I went from intern to full-time employee, and my position has changed maybe 2 times because it is a startup, it is fast-paced, but I do have the opportunity to take on new types of roles, new types of jobs, and that's been a blast for me. Over the last year, I've kind of realized that I am somebody who likes to explore many different things and get good at them, but not enough to just stick with that one thing forever. So I'd say I'm more of a generalist than a specialist, which I am like very happy about. Lately, I've been trying to explore that part of myself a little bit more by trying new things by myself that I would normally not do otherwise. Normally, I would depend on other people to do these things with me or just not have enough confidence to do them myself. But the way that I've grown over the last year, I feel like I am able to do those things now. And that's like part of the content I want to be putting out moving forward. It's just me doing things I've always wanted to do or are on other people's bucket lists, and really pushing myself to go do them, try them, and see how I like them, and give you guys honest reviews. And when I say honest, I mean honest. I'm not going to be one of those, I took cold showers for 7 days and it changed my life. No, like if I try something, I'll let you guys know if it was really weird, or if I would do it again. If you are somebody considering taking time off from school, my advice for you, or my tips, I would just say that I do realize it's not for everybody. I think it's something everybody should at least try, which is higher education. I think it is good and it is right for most people to specialize in something after college, study something, make a lot of friends in college. For me, I just felt like I was being held back in a way. I feel like I wasn't making use of my time and of my skills and of my interests at a place like college. I felt like I was just bored in the classroom sometimes. Maybe I just wasn't challenging myself, but that's always something I can go back to school and explore again, or maybe my interests lie elsewhere. But I really want to make use of my time away from school to find myself a little bit more and go back with a better direction and outlook. I would just recommend that you have a plan if you plan on leaving school. I had lined up an internship already and then had been offered a full-time position before I actually told everyone that I was taking the time off. So I had something lined up that would pay me, that I was really interested in. I had a safety net there. I didn't just jump ship. And I think that's the smart thing to do. It's risk, but it's calculated risk. I would also make sure, if you're taking time off from school or dropping out, that you are doing it for the right reasons. You shouldn't be dropping out if school is just really hard, if it's hard to make friends. Your better options might be transferring, getting a tutor, etc. But if it's just something that is just truly not for you, and you need to be elsewhere to be happy and to be doing what you want to do, with that thing being able to support you, then I would 1000% tell you to do it. Life is too short to not make decisions for yourself and to keep yourself in positions you don't want to be in. Also, saying that, take my advice with a grain of salt, because at the end of the day, make your own decisions. Don't base your decisions on other people. Don't let other people make decisions for you. This is your life. You only live once. Do what you want to do. And if you mess up, you mess up. If you make it, you make it. The onus is on you. So to wrap up, I am extremely glad that I did take the leap last year. We've grown in so many ways I would not have even expected. Gotten to be in so many cool positions over the last year I would just regret missing out on if I hadn't. I have been back to school a few times this last year, and I feel like nothing has changed. Everything's the same. People are just taking classes, going out on the weekends, friends with the same people. But I feel like I've just been on my own path and trajectory to where if I had stayed in school, I would not have been able to jumpstart so fast. I feel like by leaving 2 years before I was supposed to graduate, I've jumped ahead. I've gotten to experience a lot of the things that come with being a post-grad, being on your own, moving to a new city, starting off a new job full-time. I feel like I've gotten to do a lot of that stuff way before anyone else. Don't know if that's a good thing, don't know if it's a bad thing. I'm just grateful that I've gotten to experience it. I am very happy with the decision I made a year ago. Would encourage anyone who's thinking about it to write down the comments, reach out to me. If you just want any advice, whether it is a good decision for you or not, I would say that I did get a lot of advice from other people when I was considering it a year ago. And actually, no one had anything bad to say. Anyone I talked to who either dropped out or had taken a gap year at some point could only say good things about their experience leaving school. I've even talked to adults about it, and they tell me that that's something they wish they had the opportunity to do while they were in undergrad. I think part of it is people just being scared to do it, but if you set a safety net for yourself, if you know you can go back, if you have a plan for what you'll be doing in that year, you will be okay. Again, I'm so happy to be back. Hope this gets posted because I've been meaning to come back to YouTube, but I've just been developing so much over the last year that I haven't been able to like sit down and record. I also get pretty nervous recording myself and talking to a camera, but that's something I told myself today that I would get over. I'm trying to put myself on a schedule to get a video out every week and just share my experiences over the last year, any future experiences that I want to do and record for you guys and give my opinions on. That's my idea for content. I also told myself that I'm not really going to edit this. Sorry if I'm pretty monotone. Sorry if not enough like cool animations and stuff in these videos or b-roll, but that's the only way I'm gonna get these videos out. If I have to spend hours editing, if I have to pay an editor, I will do it. So you get what you get with this video here. We'll catch you guys all next time. Again, comment down below if you have any questions, if you need advice, or if you have future video ideas for things I should do and try out. I'd really appreciate it. See you guys.